Okay, in this video we're going to talk about what are called measures of center. So if we have a data set, we often want to know what the middle of that data set is, or what the average is. So in each of these we're going to talk about how to find them, and we'll even learn how to use our calculator to find them. But each of these really tell us kind of the middle of the data, and they all have their pros and cons. So the first one we'll talk about will be the mean, and it's called the arithmetic mean. And many times when people say average, that's what they're originally thinking of. This is where you add up all the numbers and then divide by how many numbers there are. And the awesome news is our calculator will even do this for us. Okay, so some symbols that you may not be aware of. The number of members in a sample. So if you're taking a sample and we talk about how many there are, that's a lowercase n. Okay, so when someone asks you what the n is, they're asking how many are in your sample. Now, if we're talking about the number of members in an entire population, we use a capital N to let us know that we're talking about the entire population. So the summation symbol, this is just a symbol that means to add things up. It's a capital Greek sigma. So it looks like this kind of weird E, but it's a sigma. So you'll see that in some formulas. The mean of a sample, so if we have a sample and we're taking the average, the symbol is X with a bar over it, and we call this X bar. And if we mean the mean of an entire population, we use this funny looking kind of M, but it's a Greek M called mu. So just MU. So we're going to do an example, and we'll also learn how to do this on our calculator. So it says the number of vehicles passing through a fast food drive-through during each 60-minute period was recorded. The results are shown below. So every hour they just recorded how many people went through the drive-through. Okay, and that's what we're going to find the mean for. So these data values, those are our X's. Those are what each data value is. So for our sample, the formula for the mean X bar is we're going to add up all the X's, add up all those numbers, and then divide up how many there are. So if we count how many data values we have here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So our N here is 20. And for the population, it looks very similar. You'd have all the X values of a population, you'd add them all up, and you'd divide by the total number of the population. Okay, so we're going to actually now learn how to find this. Sorry, things are popping up. So I brought up a graphing calculator. So a TI-83, the 84, the 83 would work very similarly. So whenever we're putting data into the calculator, we're going to hit this stat button, and we're going to hit edit. Okay, and we're going to put data into L1. If you need to clear out your list, you're going to go up and hit clear and then enter, and that will clear it for us. So now we want to put these data values in. So you put the data value in. So first one's 28. We hit enter. I'm going to pause and put these all in so that you don't have to watch me do this. Okay, so since I paused it, all I did was put those data values in. And you want to be really careful when you put those data values in. The mistake I see students most often make is that they have a wrong number put in. Okay, now on the calculator to actually find the mean, so we put them in. Then we're going to hit the stat button again, and anytime we want to calculate something with those data values, we're going to arrow over to calc, and these are going to be into the one variable stat. So that first one, we're going to hit enter. You can just leave that list 1. We're going to leave that blank, and we're going to hit calculate. If you don't see that menu, it's okay. You may have just, on in the 83, you won't see that. Okay, and I paused there because the answer wasn't coming up. I had actually missed a number 23. So to show you again, we'd hit Stat, go over to Calc, choose one variable, Stats. And so here our mean is, here it shows us X bar at the very top, 29.85. Now the rounding rule for the mean is one more data value than the original data has. And you'll see that down here. So we look at the original data, the data values we have, and they didn't have any decimal points. So what that means is we're going to round to 1 decimal place for this particular problem. So this would be 29. We have that 8 there and we have a 5 after it, so it gets rounded up to 9. So 29.9 would be our average here. Now, if you had a small data set, it may be quicker to do it by hand. And to do that, we would add up all of our data points. So 80 plus 75 plus 92 plus 63. And there are 4 data values there, so we divide by 4. Now, if you're going to put this in the calculator, you're going to want to put parentheses around the entire top. So 80 plus 75 plus 92 plus 63. We want it to add all of those up first, so we put those in parentheses and then divide by 4. So 77.5 would be our average there. And even for those small, we could data set, we could put that into the L1 and do the same process, and it would give us the mean. Okay, so the median, which is going to be the number we talk about next, is the middle data value. So if you, to find the median, if you first arranged all the data values in order, and then if you have, if n is odd, so if you have an odd number of data values, it's just the middle value. The one that's exactly in the middle. If n is even, if you have an even number, you find the mean of the middle 2 values. Okay, so here are 2 examples, and I'll also show you how we can do it in our calculator. So here we have 5 numbers, so that's odd, so and they're already in order. So the one that's in the middle would be the third one, so 80 would be our median. And we don't have a special symbol, so we would just say median equals 80. Here where we have 4 data values, we would take the middle 2 and we would add them together. And divide by 2. So, which would give us 77.5. Now, to do this on our calculator, it's going to be the same way that we did mean. So, I actually, from the numbers that we just talked about with the how many people went through the drive-thru, those are still in L1, so we don't have to put them back in there since that's what we're doing. We're going to go to Stat again and go over to Calc and still choose those one variable Stats. And this actually tells us a bunch. You can see N here, that's how many we had, 20. We'll learn some of those other symbols. Okay, but if you scroll down, the median is right here, MED, so this will be 30. And the median, like I said before, doesn't have a special rounding rule, and it also does not have a special symbol. Now, the mode is the data that occurs the most. So it's the most frequent value. And this is one that the calculator doesn't help us find, unfortunately. So when we have these data values above, we want to see which one occurs the most. And if we actually look at the number of 30s, there are 5 30s in here. and none of the other values. So here the mode is 30. And sometimes you won't have a mode. If all of the values only occur once, or there's not one that's most frequent, you don't have a mode. Okay, and the last measure of center we're going to talk about is the mid-range. And to find the mid-range, you take the lowest value, the minimum, plus the highest value, the maximum, and you divide by 2. Now, you'll notice our calculator actually, when you scroll down, it has the minimum value, which here was 18. And it'll also give you the maximum value, 38, or you can look at your data set. Sometimes it's easy to miss which one's the lowest or the smallest. And we're going to divide by 2. Again, in your calculator, you're going to want to put parentheses around the top, 18 plus 38, close the parenthesis, and then divided by 2. So our mid-range here is 28. And that's just the number that's halfway between the lowest value and the highest value. So these were all of our measures of center.